What do you think about being named to the 2019 class of the Oklahoma Hall of Fame?
Thrilled, honored, humbled. I mean, I just was shocked when I got the letter, or actually when Shannon called me and Governor Anatubby called me. Yeah, so pretty neat, very neat.
So what do you think about, and I know that at least one of the members of that class, of your class, you're pretty familiar with, because I think that you've done a couple movies with Gray Frederickson.
Yep, yeah, worked with Gray on a couple documentaries, and so a fabulous guy. I met him when we were both creative ambassadors, and he was next to me, and I said, "I'm sorry, I didn't know his background," and he said, "I made some small movies." My jaw hit the floor. He's a wonderful guy. Gray's a fabulous person.
So you have it's a pretty interesting class of people. I think that you're in a couple of former congressmen,
Yep.
yeah, an Oscar-winning filmmaker, and an astronaut.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about how being an astronaut and being a native astronaut has sort of shaped your life. It's been a while since you've done that gig.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, gee, it's been a long time, actually. But it seems like it was yesterday. So it fundamentally changed my life. But at the same time, I think because of what I did, it honors the people that came before me, my grandfathers and my dad's mechanical ability and common sense, and my grandparents. And I think I was asked earlier, what's it like to be, why Oklahoma has so many astronauts? Well, I think it's a work ethic, and it's the quality of life that we come from. Yeah.
So do you think about being an astronaut? I mean, do you remember being up in space? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
It seems like it would be something that would be very memorable. Like, how does that, it would seem like your whole life would be different after that.
Yeah, it fundamentally changed my life in a lot of respects. It really did. It gave me a different perspective. It made me feel really insignificant. I remember people asked me about what it's like to look back at Oklahoma. What's the red dirt look like in Oklahoma? And it's like, well, you can't see it, because of everything else, all the trees and everything. And if it's red, it's the Sahara or the outback of Australia. And I actually wrote a story about that for a magazine here in Oklahoma about my perspective. And it was, you know what it's like when you're on the ground, but it's a different perspective when you see it from a distant place. Once you get on the ground, you realize the dirt is red. You really meet the people. You realize the kind of people that live here. And you realize people don't know about Oklahoma unless you're here. And you appreciate what is here when you're here. Yeah.
So talk a little bit about what you've been doing since then, because it's kind of an interesting story,
Sure.
twists and turns of life.
Well, I worked here after retired for Rocket Plane here in Oklahoma for a couple years, and then actually went to work for the Chickasaw Nation, for my tribe, and rode a bike across the country in 2008. Fell in love with a woman in Idaho who became my wife, and lived in Idaho. I moved to Idaho in 2009. I've been there since. I live in a little place called New Meadows, Idaho. Went back to school and earned my PhD in education, working with Native students on the Duck Valley Reservation in southern Idaho. The idea is what motivates a kid to want to study math or science, and from a Native perspective, hands-on learning. This idea to work with your hands and being able to work with your friends and collaborate and maybe in a non-competitive environment. And that's how I grew up. That's how I studied. That's what I did in the Navy. That's what I did at NASA. So it's a common theme, but how do you do that on a daily basis in a classroom? How do you bring that type of study habit into the classroom? That's what I'm doing now. Yeah.
So how did coming from Oklahoma shape who you were?
It goes back to the idea of a work ethic and my family. My grandfather, my mom's side, was a mechanic on a pump station out here south of Wetumpka. He could take apart a diesel engine and put it back together, but he had a minimal education growing up. And so I think being able to work with your hands, being able to appreciate how to solve problems is really part and parcel of what I came from. Being a Chickasaw and being a member of the Chickasaw Nation, I'm honored that I have the opportunity to share my background and my growing up and with kids that never had a role model in that position before. So I take that very serious.
So how would you like to be remembered by Oklahomans?
A normal guy that got to do an extraordinary thing. I like to be like everybody else. I want somebody to say, hey, that guy's no different than me. And how did he accomplish what he did? Well, it was people came in my life and helped me make decisions, and I hope I can do that for other people too.
So what's the single best thing about being in space?
Hanging off the edge of the space station with a thumb and a forefinger watching over the edge of the Earth into the distant universe. That's what I remember. I will remember this the rest of my life, and I do. Made me feel really, really small.
But it seems like it would be really, really unbelievable whenever you were doing it. Like,
yeah.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yeah, I was chuckling. I get paid to do this. Yay. Wow, pretty neat.
So what do you feel like? What do you feel like whenever you think about Oklahoma? I mean, what are some of the qualities about Oklahoma that you would like everyone to know about?
I do FIRST Robotics here in the state of Oklahoma every year. I'm the judge advisor here at the Cox Center for the FIRST Robotics competition. Started in 2007. Governor Anatubby got me in touch with the governor and Burns Hargis at the time, and we were set up doing this. And I get to work with kids that come from all over the state of Oklahoma and around the world essentially. And I realize there are kids in Oklahoma that can come here, that come off of a ranch or a farm, may have a mentor who's the English teacher, may not be somebody that's got a science or engineering background. And these kids can put a robot together with wood and baling wire, and they have the common sense knowledge how to build stuff. That competes with people that have much more, maybe mentors who are engineers or scientists. They have a lot of money. They have really well-designed and engineered robots, but the kids that come off the farm or the ranch can put together a robot that does what it's supposed to do at minimal cost in a short period of time. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with kids that have that ability and they do it on their own. That's what I remember a lot about kids here.